Hi, I'm Magdalena, and today I'm going to be duping the Arttitude Cosmetics Urban Neutrals palette. I'm going to be doing this video a little bit differently than I usually do. A dear friend, Lady of the Lipstick, had asked me to do a little bit more of a kind of detailed process of how I do my dupes. So I thought I would try a video like that. This is going to be pretty laid back, more of kind of a casual hangout with me while I, compare shadows and try and do a dupe. So if that's something you're interested in, stay tuned. For the first shade, we have a deep navy blue, and my options are Dandelion's Blue Note, ColourPop Backstage, or Dandelion's Foglet. I do believe that it's somewhere between these two shades, like if it had this undertone and this kind of depth maybe. I think I'm going to go with Foglet though, because I do feel like this might be a little bit too bright. So I think we're going to go with Foglet. The second shade in the palette is a holochrome with a cool base. It's a bit hard to tell from the photos, and a magenta, pink, and gold multi-chrome effect. I do not like or own any holochromes, so I'm just going to dupe the multi-chrome. My options are Cleona Tessera, Cleona Stencil, and Shine by SD Revenge. I think, especially because this is duping a holochrome, I should go with something that is the most sparkly option. So that would be the Shine by SD Revenge. The third shade in the palette is a deep brown, and my options are Glam Shop Grunge, Glam Shop Alternative, Dandelion Semi-Sweet, and Dandelion's Milk Chocolate. These all are pretty similar. They just have different undertones. I do think these two are the deepest. That is Alternative and Milk Chocolate. Alternative is a little bit more warm toned, so I think I'm going to go with Milk Chocolate because it's a little bit more neutral. The fourth shade in the palette is a deep cool toned gray. My options are Dandelion Sage, Glam Shop Rock, ColourPop You Love It, which is depotted from the Troublemaker palette, and Dandelion's Livid. Now, these all have slightly different undertones. I think I'm going to take Livid out of the running because it is so close to black. I do like Sage. It kind of looked in some photos like it had a bit of a green base to it. Definitely cool tone, but I was trying to figure out if it was more of a cool tone green or a cool tone blue. But there is some deeper green coming up in the palette as well. So I don't know if I want to go with that because it might be similar to the shade that I use for that one. I do think You Love It is maybe a little too warm. So yeah, I think I'm going to go with this shade right here, Rock. The fifth shade in the palette is another cool tone gray, but this one is much lighter. And my options are Glam Shop Gray and Glam Shop Smoky. I do kind of wish I had something in between these two. This one feels a little bit too light and this one a little bit too dark. I do feel like Smoky is a little bit too close to the last gray in depth, so I do think I'm going to go with gray instead. The sixth shade in the palette is a kind of mid to deep warm purple, and my options are Dandelion's Wrath, Dandelion's Ambitious, Glam Shop Dark Lavender, and Glam Shop Violet. I do kind of wish I had something like in between these two, because this is just like a little bit more, I don't know, like muted, and I feel like it needs a little bit more saturation. This one is definitely out. I think this one is too cool as well. I do think I'm going to go for this one here, Wrath, because it is a bit deeper, and I know there's another purple in the palette, so I don't want to go too light since this is the deeper of the two. The seventh shade is a cool tone contour color, and it looks pretty different in different swatches, so I'm just kind of torn on which one to go. I swatched out a lot of different things. Often they can look so different in the pan and on different skin tones, but my options here are Glam Shop Punk, Dandelion's Apple Butter, Dandelion's Macaron, ColourPop Lush, ColourPop Take the Lead, and ColourPop Friday Night. I do think I personally enjoy this color here more than the other ones. I like this one a lot too, depending on what I'm doing with the look, but I do think this one right here, Punk, is probably going to be the best option. This one here, Take the Lead, maybe is the more neutral option, and this one is also a pretty good neutral option, although a little bit lighter. Yeah, I'm really torn, but I do like this one a lot. It is my preferred kind of contour shade. It can be really built up like it is now, or much more kind of sheer. So I do think I'm going to take Punk for this one. The eighth shade in the palette is an iridescent blue, indigo, purple, and maybe like magenta at a harsh angle. I picked 4 examples of that kind of shadow. I have a ton of these. These are just 4 that I wanted to get some use out of. So this is Glam Shop Snowball, Looksy Cookie Dough, Shine by SD, and Glam Smitty Astral, and Looksy Cookies and Cream. So this one here, Cookie Dough, is definitely more of like a turquoise warm blue as the first shift. And then Cookies and Cream is more like an indigo as the first shift. Astral is more like a true blue, but it does have some kind of sparkles of both the more like turquoise and more indigo. And then Snowball is more like just a straight up blue. I'm kind of tempted to go with Snowball because it is kind of like, just a true blue, but I do really like Astral as well. It just does look a little bit more kind of purpley because of the multicolored flecks in it. It's really beautiful though. Um, but yeah, I think Snowball's probably the best option here. And it is brand new, so it would be nice to get some use out of it. The ninth shade in the palette is a true pink. It's not like a multi-chrome or a duochrome as far as I can tell. I have these 4 options here and then a 5th option that I'll show at the end, but I really don't want to use the 5th option. So first off, I have Cleona Baroque, Cleona Opulent, Shine by SD and Seeking Shifts Crown Flash, and Shine by SD Charm. So Opulent I don't think is going to work. I think it's too shifty, not pink enough. I think Charm might be a little bit too gold as well. Like the pink isn't showing up as much. So it's kind of between those two. The other option, and this is the first one that I had thought of here, is Pink Flare from Divina. This formula, I only use these on like really special occasions. 1, it stains, and 2, these flakes are very gritty. So cleaning them off is brutal. Like you're going to hurt your eyes if you're taking this off. I've tried to use the tape trick and I've been really gentle, but it's not something I want to do regularly. So I only save these for special occasions and I don't want to put it in this palette. I also swatched on my finger because it was going to stain and there's nothing you can do about that stain. It will be there for at least 24 hours. So I did want to put that on my hand and then have to do more swatching. I do think Baroque might be the best option here because it is actually quite a strong pink in the palette that I've seen. Although I expected Crown Flash to be better because it is a little more understated, but I do think Baroque actually is the better option. And I love Baroque. It's beautiful. So I think we're going to go with that one. The 10th shade in the palette is a beige tan. And my options are ColourPop Bel Air and ColourPop Lush. I think ColourPop Lush is probably the better option, although I think the undertone of Bel Air is probably a little more accurate. It's a little bit too deep, I think. At least on me, it's too deep. The next shade in the palette I'm going to skip. I don't have it. It's a sparkly black with a blue sparkle. I don't have shades like that. I don't really like sparkly blacks. I thought maybe I could use a sparkly blue topper and then just like top some of the deeper shades in here. But I realized I've already got an iridescent that fills that category. That is a sparkly blue iridescent. So why would I have a second shade like that? So I'm just going to skip it. I like a 15 pan instead of a 16 pan anyways, so just skipping that one. The next shade in the palette is a soft mid-tone purple, and my options are Dandelion Spirit, Dandelion's Falmer, Glam Shop Dark Lavender, and Dandelion's Orchid. This one, I'm kind of stuck again. Like I have something in between these shades would have been perfect. I think in between these two especially. Or like a deeper version of this one would be really good. I do have to compare it to the purple that's already in the palette, which is quite a warm purple. And so I do think this is going to be out. It's got to be one of these two. I'm just going to grab the warm purple really quick. So here it is. You can see what I'll be kind of blending it into. I do think this one might not be too bad. They seem like they're at a pretty similar depth level, but yeah, okay, we're gonna go with this one. We're gonna go with Spirit, I think. Yeah, I think that's the right one. The next shade in the palette is a deep warm brown, and my options are Glam Shop Anarchy, Color Pop Cloud 9, and Facet, and Glam Shop Alternative. So off the bat, I'm kind of looking at this one for the right undertone, but I'm worried it's not deep enough. Though one thing that I am thinking though, there's so much depth in this palette already that it's kind of worthwhile to maybe have something that's a little bit less deep. I don't know if I want to go as deep as these other ones. Like there's already a deep brown in there, and I don't think it's that different compared to the other ones. Like this is it here, and they're too similar, I think. So I think it would be better to have this one here just because it gives a little bit more of a slightly lighter color. This palette is a very deep. It's like just very deep or very light. So yeah, it'd be good to have something a little bit more kind of in the middle. The next shade is a pink to gold to green multi-chrome with a teal base. And my options are Pretties for Your Face Water Nymph, Cleona the Benz, Cleona Emblem, Shine by SD Dreamcatcher, and Lethal Genesis. Honestly, I knew right away it was probably going to be Lethal Genesis, but I did try a couple of other ones. I actually think Emblem might be another possible option because it's really got that green in the base. But I don't know, it's like more like true pink, and I feel like Genesis is more of like a kind of peachier pink, which I think goes better with the shade in the palette. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Genesis, but these are all so pretty. I wish I could put them all in there. The second last shade in the palette is kind of a mid-tone teal, and my options are Glam Shop Smoky, Dandelion Sage, ColourPop Formation, and Dandelion's Lily Pod. I know it's not going to be Sage, it's too deep, and I think Formation is too vibrant. This palette is just very muted, so I think it would just be a little too much to have that one in. So the question then kind of becomes, do I want it to be more green or more blue? Like if there was something in between these two, it would be perfect. I've said that a lot, I know, but I do think this one is a little too similar to other colors in the palette. I mean, it'll work to make a nice gradient, but it's not necessary. I have the deep and the lights, so I don't think I need that one. This one is more unique in the palette, so the question is, does it work with the colors in the palette? And I think it will. I think it will work with the deep blue and with the deeper green. So yeah, I think this is going to be it. That's Lily Pond. The last shade in the palette is just a matte black, and this is Black Hole from Dandelions. I'm going to use it since it is my matte black. Okay, so this is the palette that I've created, and while looking at it, I do think there's something missing in this palette, and since I have this hole right here, I'm going to find a shade that I think will make it look more complete. I think I need something that's kind of like a neutral, maybe something with a bit of a brown base. So I'm going to go look for some shades like that, and then I'll pick one. Okay, so here are 6 options. First, I was thinking of shades like that, kind of like a blue-brown, but then I thought maybe I could go with some green, add a little bit more color. So this is Cleona Grisaille. This is Glam Shop Celtic, Cleona Carving, Cleona Iron Gate, Cleona Niello, and Cleona Hedge Maze. I'm really kind of torn. This is what the palette looks like. I think a blue-brown goes really well, but I also think this has like the top pigment, like the multi-chrome pigment is the same. So I could just layer it to make a blue-brown. I kind of like the green because there's some green tones in here that I don't feel like are really expressed in any of the shimmers. So that's part of why I was thinking even carving, because it's got like kind of like a turquoisey color more than like a blue as the like forefront shimmer. But then I thought, well, I could also add maybe like Niello has the purple, and then it's got like the green. I like the harsh angle. And Iron Gate is kind of similar, although the purple isn't as obvious, but it's got like that dark, interesting, grungy base that a lot of these shades are. Hedge Maze, I don't know. I think Hedge Maze is out of the running. I don't think Hedge Maze is... It'll work, but it's not... I don't think it's doing the same thing as the other ones are. So yeah, I guess the question kind of is, what do I want out of this palette that I'm missing? What do I feel like I'm missing? Am I missing an everyday shade? Am I missing something more fun? Am I missing something like more, you know, like Niello, like really bright, or I'm missing something more grungy, like Iron Gate. I think, I'm pretty sure it's going to be Grisaille though. There's Grisaille. There's Grisaille. Let's pop it in and see. I think that looks pretty good. That looks pretty complete. Alternatively, I think the one I would be thinking about most would probably be Niello. That's not bad either. But I do feel like if I'm looking at the palette, I have these fun shades right here. So I don't necessarily need another pop of color. So something more grungy like that. That's still like urban neutrals kind of vibe. But I think Grisaille wins. I think Grisaille is what I want there. So I think that rounds it out well for me. So I'm going to go wash off my hand here and then I'll do the end of the video. All right, so here is the palette. I think I did a pretty good job. I like the color story here. I would definitely, if I was not somebody who like already had these shades and who bought palettes, I would definitely get this. I don't know if the pans are magnetic. They are circle pans, but I don't know if they're the 26 millimeter or the smaller ones. But I think it's really nice. If I was into palettes, and especially if I was in the UK where they're based, I would definitely get it. But what did you think? Do you like this style of video? I definitely prefer my more traditional style, but I can do like one of these every once in a while if people are interested in seeing the behind the scenes for a palette. So yeah, let me know. And again, if you don't like it, you don't really have to let me know. I just will see that you didn't like it. So yeah. Okay, thank you for watching. I hope this wasn't too terrible, and yeah, if you watch this whole thing, you're an angel. Okay. Hope you all have a lovely day and a good Black Friday, and you know that it's not too stressful. I know it's a really stressful time for a lot of people. Okay, bye.